Hello, good morning, everyone. Today, I'd like to introduce the uh, most common error and how to simple check. So, first was the warning A001. This means the input under voltage. Uh, the analysis was DC input PV1 or PV2 voltage low. Solutions. If it is happening in the bad weather day or the early morning or late in the day, this is a normal phenomenon. Yeah, so you this is normal. If happen in the Sunday or the sunshine was a break, so you can check first. You can disconnect the DC connector and use a multimeter to check uh, each input each string and to check whether the DC input is normal or not. If not normal, you have to check the string connection to see whether this was broken or have a short circuit. 这是什么？再恢复录制。If the PV is normal, and then you can check whether the running whether the inverter running mode be set correctly. And then last, you can check two input to see whether this inverter can work normally or not. Let's do the simply check to see whether this caused by the environment or the user settings. And A002, this means the bus under voltage. And this means the inverter internal DC bus voltage on the range. So first, you check the panel DC voltage to see whether this is in the rated range, and also to see the strings connect correctly. And then you can disconnect all the DC and switch DC AC switch until restart this to see whether this error will appear or not. If all this you have checked, and all the connections and environment are okay, and the restart, the inverter still cannot work. This most possibly the IGBT was broken. And for A003, grid under voltage, this means the grid voltage is too low. First, you should check what is the phase voltage and the frequency is shown on the display, and check if they are in the rated range or not. If you check the voltage displayed on the display is not normal, and you have to you maybe use the multiply to test the real AC voltage. If these two was not the same, so you have to change the control board or update the software. If the display voltage is normal, and also is same to the real grid voltage, so this the grid voltage and shows the voltage is low, so this means the grid has a problem. You have to make the invert low voltage limit much lower, so you can go to setting the under voltage limit. Also, you can check the AC terminal and the distribution box, whether this connection is correct or not. And also, you can check whether this was setting to the local country standard or not. If not, this will maybe happen this error. And A004, this means the grid voltage is too high. The check procedure was it's just the same like the grid under voltage. Sometimes it was caused by the grid voltage because the grid voltage was real high and over our inverter limit. Sometimes it was caused by the switch or the sampling, inverter sampling. And also you have to check whether this system has neutral line or P or ground line to see whether these two cables would connect well or not. A005, this means the grid frequency is too low. First, you check what the displayed AC frequency values is, and check if the value is in the range or not. And then you check if the AC terminal and distribution box internal connection is correct or not. And also to see whether the distribution box was stripped or not. And then you can check the inverter standard, country standard, and to see the frequency limit. And then A007, this means the inverter clock can be set to wrong or not set. So this is simple to correct this. You just check the inverter time set, and if not right, you through the inverter front panel to set the right time. And A009, this means the inverter has been shut down manually through HMI or monitoring operation. This is not very common, but it will happen sometimes. So most time this happen can working by restart, disconnect the turn off the DC switch and turn on, the inverter will go back to again. But this need to update the software. A009. And about A011, this means the inverter has lost the connection with grid. You have to check if the AC terminal and the distribution box connection was right or not. Sometimes the installer was connect the LN P to wrong place, and sometimes to check whether the AC switch was shipped or not, and then to check whether the country standard and grid protection value was set applied for the local grid or not. And for the A030, this means the communication is faulty between combiner box and the inverter. For this, you have to check if the RS-485 cable connection between DC combiner box and the inverter is correct or not. Most time, this is what happened. The RS-485 cable has not connect correctly. It's wrong. Maybe the positive and negative was wrong. For the A031, this means the lighting protection faulty. So for this you have to check the lighting protector, and also to check the cable was connected formally or not. For error 001, this means the DC input voltage is too high. First, you can restart the inverter to see whether this inverter can working again or not. And then if still not working, you can disconnect the DC strings, DC terminals, and use a multimeter to check whether the positive or negative maybe connect in the opposite way. Maybe the positive connect to the negative, okay. And also to see whether you maybe sometimes you have connected more panels, so the DC voltage was over our limit, inverter limit. And the arrow 003, this means the bus voltage is over our range. For the simple check, you can check the DC side connection to see whether the connection right or not, and then restart, waiting for 5 minutes to see whether this inverter can working or not. If all the connection you have checked is okay, this means the IGBT circuit was broken. Most of the problems happened was the IGBT side. IGBT was broken, yeah, caused by IGBT. Error 004. This means the inverter has faulty on the boost socket. If this happened in the morning, early morning, or later in the day, or in the bad weather situations, this is normal because it has no much power to has less power, so caused this problem. And then the arrow 005, this means the AC current has over our inverter limit. First, this you have to asking the customer to give you the panel configurations to see whether he has configured more panels. And then you have to check the AC side. Maybe the AC side has happened in the short circuit, or the AC side cable connection was not formed. And then also you can see the AC grid voltage, maybe whether this grid voltage stable or not. If the sometimes he has go to very small value, and sometimes he has go big. This will also cause this problem. And for the arrow 006, this means the temperature, inverter temperature is too high. This caused by some factors. Maybe first, the inverter fan may be broken, not working. So after in the sunny day, the sun was very big, but the fan was not working. So this temperature will going very high. And then to see whether the inverter fan is stuck by something. And also this requires the inverter need to install well and comply with the standards requirement. So you have to inspect whether this condition is well or not. For the arrow 007, this means the external system installation resistance is too low. This problem happened in the after raining day. After raining, this sometimes will happen this error. So if happen this error, first you maybe restart the inverter and to see whether it's working or not. If it's still not working, you have to check the PV panels connection. Sometimes has some animals such as mouse has broken the PV cables, so the PV cables connect to the ground, so will cause this problem. And then if and then you can also we have through the front panel and you can set the isolation values. Our fault settings was level 2. If all the connections was right, so still having this problem, you can set to level 1. For the arrow 008, this means the inverter IDBT protection. This restart the inverter after 5 times to see whether this can work or not. If not working, you have to change the IGBT board. And for the arrow 009, this means the communication is faulty between main DSP and the slave. Also, first to check, restart the inverter. If still not working, and then replace the control board. Or update the software. For the arrow 010, this means the current leakage of the system is too high. First, you check the wiring or connection of the DC AC side. And then to check if the ground wire connection are connected well among solar panels or not. And third, to see whether this happened to see this time what's happened raining or some bad weathers or not. If all the connections are okay, this mostly the EMI board was broken. Error 011, this means the relay fault. Relay fault, first you have checked the AC/DC connections, and especially pay attention to the neutral now and the ground cable to check if these connections had been connected well or not. And then if this okay, maybe you can restart the inverter. If still not working, this means the relay has broken, so the inverter cannot restart. For the arrow 012, this means the inverter internal fan is faulty. For this happen, you have to open the cage and replace the internal fan. Or maybe the inverter fan cable was loose. For the arrow 013, this means the inverter internal storage EP room is faulty. This error happened. Most time you have to update the software. For the arrow 014, this means the DC position is too high in the AC output. Most time when this error happened, you have to replace the IGBT board. For the arrow 015, this means the output AC has happened a short circuit. You have to check if the AC cable wires or grid components is grounded or not. If grounded, this means if this connect to ground, this means the has short circuit. For the arrow 018, this means the DC input had overcurrent. What happens is you have to check whether the solar panel has become too much or not. If the installed power capacity is too much, but you see the output voltage is just the value. So but the input power is very big. So when this time the DC the output current will going up, will exceed our limit. For error 019, this means the detected grid voltage, frequency, leakage current, or DC composition is inconsistent between the main and the slave DSP. When this happens, you have to first you have to restart the inverter, and then if cannot solve the problem, you have to check the inverter software version and then update the software. For the error 020, this means the DC power is reversed. DC power is reversed. For this, you have to restart the inverter and to see observe if the return to normal running or not. For the error 021, this means the power meter communication is faulty. This for the anti-reverse function. If you have opened the anti-reverse function but not connected to the meter, we are showing this error 021. If you has connected smart meter also showing this error, you have to check the RX485 connections to see whether the connection was right or not. For error 024, this means the smart meter didn't been connected, so you have to this also in the anti-reverse inverters, so you have to connect the smart meters. Okay, this is the most common errors happening in the inverter use. In order to do the software update, you have to first use the following software tools. First is the invert USB cables. I will send you the picture about the cable. Maybe you have. And then this for the update the control board. This name the C2 prog, and this for upgrade the single phase LCD software. This was the driver, cable driver, and the 5 for the single phase, also for the single phase LCD software. And also this you must have the inverter software. We have two CPU, CPU1 or CPU2. First, you have to install this C2 prog installations. After finish these installations, you connect your cable to your computer and then install the cable driver. If you install the cable driver successfully, and then to find the COM port. The COM port you can through this to first to see the properties, and then to open the device manager, and then this will from this will showing what compose in your computer. Remember this. For the single phase, you see the picture. We have two CPU. This for the big one was CPU 1, and the small one CPU 2. And this was the CPU short interface to connect the two pins. And this was the download interface. You can see the have 4 pins. 4 pins. It will showing 5 watt on the. You see this? You see this? This cannot see clearly. You can CPU 2, 5 watt ground, and the TX RX. So the red cable you connect in the 5 watt direction. First, connect the jumpers. And second, connect the USB to the control board. The connecting is like showing like this. You see, the 2 pins, the jumper. First connect this, and then the 4 pins connect. The red back cable was consistent with in the 5 watt direction. And the blue cable connect to between your laptop and the small update cable, update board. And then running C2 proc software tools. And then select you click select file to find the inverter softwares. And then to set target for single phase, you set the target to 28035 and 34, and the options to SCI. See, and then click, and then after you set the target and option, you keep the other to default, and then click config port. If you have installed the cable driver successfully, this will showing on this automatically. You just click this configure port icon, and then click program. It will going to update the software. After showing 100%, this means the programming has finished. This for the upgrade for the single phase CPU 1. And then the CPU 2, first is also to connect the jumper first, and then connect the 4-pin download cable. It's the same. Just the difference is the pin is the location is different. And then set the target. CPU 2, the target is different. For CPU 2, the target should set to 8027. And the others is the same. Others is the same. Then is for upgrade the single phase LCD screen. This is the picture showing the LCD screens, LCD cables, or SD board. This on the left side is the interface, short interface, and on the right side is download interface. So this connect the 2 pins on the J3 short interface, and the 4 pins, and then connect the 4-pin cable to the download interface. And remember the red cable it must be consistent with the 5-watt direction. You see the connections like this. And then to run these software tools, to select the right COM port and keep the others default. Do not change it, and click next. And then to choose the software files. For the LCD screen softwares, this is different MCU. For the CPU, for the control board, the software name is different. CPU 1 was named as INV for CPU 1. In this INV, this was for the CPU 1. For the BST, this for the CPU 2. And you see the software MCU, this for the LCD screens. So after select the software, and then click the next and then programming. After showing 100%, the update for the LCD screens has finished. For the three-phase, is just seems like the single phase updating. The difference is to change the different target and options. The others is same. And this need to practice.
但是他们有没有人在啊？
这里不是有4个人吗
？4个人，但是他们都没说话呀。这个肯定你说话嘛，他们不说话。要互相交流一下嘛。Hello。因为他们如果人他们没在，或者去喝茶去了，喝咖啡去了，我们空讲没用啊。他们就是让我们录下来，他们回去自己看。哦，我们录下来，他们自己回去看是吧？这录音录屏是吧？
剪那个恢复录制了吗？
等一下，这怎么讲？
你要把那个停止这个点暂停。
这个读一遍。
然后你有自己的理解。
Hello, let's me introduce the anti-feedback, anti-reverse solution. Anti-feedback is one of power self-use. We have a solution. We have anti-feedback solution for single phase and three phase. For anti-feedback system, the main purpose is block power to the grid and let the power from PV just for load use.没变是吧？ 连接网络不稳定，听不到声音。Hello， 你不理解？估计他们没人在呢。先聊聊天嘛，然后再培训。他们有没有人在都不知道。重新开始。This is a single phase anti-reverse solution, the May diagram. The anti-feedback solution must have a meter. The smart meter to detect the power voltage and the current from the grid or to the grid, and the feedback the information to inverter, and the inverter control itself, control the output. This is this solution without CT. 这个很久的，这个很久。The three-phase system is the same as the single phase principle. 这个很老了，这个还是这样吧。那个詹姆斯，你跟他说，那个这个过时了，我把我们最新的翻译成英文，到时候再改天